Hey y'all, hey, it's another episode of Bonafide here podcast featuring the one and only Marquis, Rankin.
How y'all doing today?
How you doing today, sir?
Doing good. I'm actually doing pretty well today. How you doing?
You know, we're blessed to be alive. Another day, another blessing, another dollar. Hello. So, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. So, we all the time. So, let's get to it. So, Marquis, can you let us know how you got to where you are in your sports story?
Um, well, quick background. I've been playing basketball since I was around like 5 years old. Um, I wasn't really. I was a real shy kid, so I wasn't really like into like I would say organized basketball or organized sports as a kid. I just always played like with my brothers and his older friends. Like so, at 5 years old, my dad I was playing. My brother's 2 years older than me, so one time, like I just should practice with them and then just sit on the bench during the games. But one time, my dad just so happened to put me in the game, and my grandparents walked in, and I ran off the court, like to go see my grandparents in the middle of the game because I was just like programmed just to, I was just out there having fun at the time, so I wasn't really, and I was afraid of like the contact in the sport, so I was just always, just running around with my brother and his friends. So I wouldn't say I didn't really get the hang of it till like around 7 years old is when I started playing organized basketball, like with my age group. And from there, like from 7 years old until, around like 2014, it's like when I stopped playing basketball. And then I picked it back up around like 2015, 2016. But just to like give like a gist of like my my journey as an athlete. Um, Around like I say, I started playing, like I said, program organized basketball around like 7, 8, and started playing with the Charlotte Stars. Well, it started in the rec league with the Charlotte Flames, and then we moved on to play AAU with the Charlotte Stars, and to the point where we got to nationals at 9 and under, and we won the whole thing at 9. So around 9 years old is when I really began to be like, okay, like I'm really like good at this sport, basketball. So it's like it was still like fun around that age. So it wasn't really like with all like today with like all the politics into it taken away from the actual love of the game. So I would say from there it was just like just having fun, and that's like around like what's that, like third grade. So by the time like middle school came, that's when like all the politics start coming to play. Like around like eighth grade, you start getting recruited, start getting the letters, and with the colleges and stuff. So I would say after that, around like eighth grade, ninth grade is when it started to really like pick up with like getting recruited, and I'm kind of skipping like a little hole from I say eighth to ninth grade, but like seven when I went to seventh grade, I started at JT Williams. Um, I did my sixth grade and seventh grade year at JT Williams, and then I reclassified and went to Providence Day School, and that was like a real like culture shock for me as far as like just coming from like a public school to a private school, and just like the environment I grew up in opposed to being at a private school, uh, and being one of the just being a minority in the school. So it was kind of like it took me till now 34 years old to like really dissect and look back on that time period, and that's probably like when I first started to feel like anxiety, just being around like a group of kids that I didn't know, um, just growing up in a different environment than those kids. um, I just felt like I was a loner. You know, I felt alone a lot, and it took it took me to like, I guess when like at the beginning of the year, like basketball is not in session, so it's like that whole like those couple months like until basketball hit, like I felt like alone and just out of place. Just just being coming from like a school I can wear whatever I want to coming to private school, having to wear a collar shirt, having to tuck it in, having to wear a certain, having to look a certain type of way that I wasn't like accustomed to. So it kind of like looking back on it, I was kind of like traumatized in a way because I was like embarrassed about like what I brought to the school as far as like my personality and like the type of clothes I wear, shoes, just like my whole identity was like I just felt out of place. And from there I kind of like I was feeling the anxiety and feeling that those emotions and stuff, but I couldn't really express it or didn't know exactly what to say. I just thought I was just shy and feeling just kept feeling those like the different emotions, but I really couldn't like go to anybody or tell them how I felt. So I kind of just failed out, so I can just leave the school, so I can just get back to like what I was like used to, just being around like my people I grew up with or like my friends basically. That's the main thing, just being around my friends and closer to like my family and like what I was comfortable at, because I was very uncomfortable like at that school.
First of all, we gotta shout out your hat because first of all, you're gonna have to definitely put on people to your brand
Yeah,
because
yeah, I'm gonna get
love the
to it.
love it, love it, love it. Because first of all, um, I remember we had spoke about like first of all, shout out to you and KJ. Y'all have the open circle, y'all have the KR3 and the KFGs like open circle. Um, and actually, one of my good peoples is saying they need that hat of yours too. They saying they need that hat of yours. Like they want that hat too. So, but and y'all, it's not. And I always, it's not every day that you see like say like I said, you and KJ, y'all are the two men. Both of y'all have been in the athlete aspect, but also y'all bring the importance of mental health. It's not every day you see like say two men, particularly two black men in the athlete world that talk about mental health. How did the open circle go about?
um, but just a little backstory on where mental health come to play in my life. When went to I went to college, played basketball at Virginia Tech. Uh, that was around what I graduated in 2011. 2011, so from 2011 until 2014, I was at uh I was at Virginia Tech. So my junior year, around 2014, well, I would say my sophomore year, around like 2013, going into 21, the timeline, yeah, one roughly in that area, 2012, 2014. My parents, they were going through like a separation, and when I first found out, of course, I was mad because it was kind of like unexpected. So I didn't, I didn't have that, how you see on the movies or you just see people who sit down in families and have a conversation, X, Y, Z. Like I didn't have that, so it was kind of like my life went from like this to that in like a matter of like overnight, basically. But when I think back on it, like when it first happened, like that's when my mental my mental health started to like spiral. Probably like 2012, leading up to 20 the end of 2013. Um, yeah, I started to like spiral because I was doing like my routine was just coming like getting off, and I was just like out of routine, but I didn't notice it until like probably like 2 weeks ago that like it started like exactly like when it happened, and not when I like felt like the pain for real. Like the pain came probably like a months after like my parents uh separated. So I really didn't feel it. I was feeling it because I was like stopped going to class. I stopped like I just fell in love. I fell out of love with like going to like workouts and weights and basketball. Like I just started falling out of love with things that I love, and I wasn't noticing it. I was just like, dang, I'm just going through the motions. So um, probably yeah, I end up leaving the team, and they let me continue to go to school and stuff like that. But during that time, like everything that I was like used to was like my schedule, my routine was off. Like I'm used to waking up, going to workouts. So now I'm just like a regular student. So I'm having to like you said, like I said, like when I was at Providence Day, I'm having to wait around for my friends to finish doing X, Y, Z in order for me to feel like I'm whole. So all my friends were well, the people that I hung around was my teammates. So it's like they are in practice doing basketball stuff while I'm sitting in study hall, and I think it was those times where I was just by myself and alone. My body was still just like spiraling. I wasn't really noticing it until probably like probably like I would say like 6 months afterwards. After my parents separated, and then probably like a week after I left the team, my body just like shut down, and I was having like tension headaches, and I was basically like I couldn't sleep in a bed. I had to sit up because every time I laid down, like the pain was like 100 times worse. So I'm having to sit up for hours and hours out the day. So um, like yeah, that's like where my because around that time mental health awareness wasn't really a thing. Like because I was hearing words like, "Oh, you depressed. Oh, you having anxiety." Like I was hearing all these words from like the team doctors that I was going to, and that's when they was trying to diagnose me with all these things, and I'm like confused to what was going on. So kind of my mental health is journey has been like a lot of me uh, having to like learn things on my own or like educate myself in certain situations. Um, so I feel like now it's become I'm starting to see like why it's my purpose and why God took um, what I thought was like my dream like away from me, but I feel like He did that to I feel like He did that to put me in a place to like do something like better because it's all like making sense. Like I wish I can like get it like all out of my head like right now and tell you like chop it down and explain how much like He's showing me that like what I'm doing now is like what I was supposed to be doing like for sure. Like even down to like my brand. Like um I've been started a brand like in college in like 2012. Like one of my teammates. Like we've been had a brand, but back then people was laughing. People was laughing at us. Like it was like, oh, that's y'all got a brand. Like who has their own brand and who does this and does that. Like to the point where we was one of my teammates named Adam. He got some. We had made a logo. It was called Loose Minds. Um, and we had a slogan called Dream to Create Change and Create Change to Inspire. And like that's I don't use that because my teammate he still has the brand and he still uses it. So it's like it's all making sense because that's all what my brand is about. I just talk about it in a different way. But Yeah, my friend Adam was from Atlanta. He went home one time and he came back the weekend and he had like 6 shirts made with our logo on it. And we end up he ended up sneaking into like we had a Kendrick Lamar concert. He ended up sneaking into the concert and putting our shirts in his dressing room, and he ended up wearing the shirt and like coming out on stage with it. So it was like those moments, like we was all me and my teammate, his name Marcus, like we was already destined to like do what we doing now, just because of those people was laughing at us like then, but now it's like look at us now, you know. So so that's kind of like what like all my pain and mental health stem from is just like my parents and them going through a separation and a divorce, and just not having that home foundation to like come home to, like when I was at school, coming home, not having that foundation of like home anymore. That kind of like put me in the dark, put me in a real dark space. So that's where a lot of my pain stems from. And then like the open circle, like with KJ, we've been talking about it for years. Like in our group chat, like man, we need to do this, we need to do that, and we were just trying to perfect it, make it perfect, and just. But we end up just saying like forget it, trying to make it perfect. Let's just create the space and um just go from there, and just like let the people chime in and tell us how they want, what I'm saying, the space to be made, because it's not like we there just talking to people. We actually are like leave it open for like just a normal conversation. So um yeah, but we've been talking about that for like years, but we were just trying to perfect it and trying to see how we can make it better. Or yeah, it was just one of those things where we just had to make it happen for it to really, you know you gotta, sometimes you just gotta be the change you want to see, for sure.
Yeah, hold up. Let me get my Hey, that's so true too. I had to get my little tambourine shakers with it because that is so true.
Yeah,
You gotta be
or
the change you
like
want to
not,
see.
yeah, be the change, or like create the change. I would say create the stuff that, because there's a lot of times we sit around and we be like, well, we need to have more of this and this in the community, or more of this. But it's like we keep saying we need more. Why not just, create it ourselves? So that was one of those things where we was like, all right, let's go ahead and get it done, and we're gonna, you know, make it do what it do as time progresses.
For sure. And, you know, this leads to my question, you know, wanted to get your aspect of, especially from your playing days, like, how, you went to Virginia Tech, and a lot of people they dream of going to, say, the ACC schools, especially if you're from the Carolinas. ACC is like the mecca of all things. But from your aspect, what would you say are some of the misconceptions of the ACC competition?
Um, man, see back. Well, I don't watch too much of it now, but back in my day, it was some real deal competition in the league. We can run it down to what Carolina. It was, you had Kendall Marshall, uh, John Henson, uh, Harrison Barnes, like who else? It's a lot of them. James McAdoo, P.J. Harrison, Reggie Bullock, Leslie McDonald. Then you go to Duke, Seth Curry, uh, Quinn Cook, Tyler Thornton, uh, Austin Rivers. Like it was stacked. Then you go to Florida State. You got Ian Miller. Uh, they had a lot of guys. I can't think of some names off of there, but and then our team we had Renzo Hudson from Charlotte, J.T. Thompson, Eric Green, um, Dorian Finney-Smith. I mean, the list goes on in that league. It was a good time though. Like the ACC tournament was a good time, and then yeah, it was some guys in that league. Like the misconception is like I don't know. It's some real deal. When I was playing with some real deal pros that came out of that league. But growing up, like I always wanted to play in the ACC, like you said. I always wanted to play in the ACC. And a lot of my offers came from the ACC with like Clemson, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. Those was like the three schools that I was looking at. So it was for sure, like you said, coming up in North Carolina, you had to really touch the ACC for sure. That was definitely one of those goals. But I don't know. I don't watch it. I don't really watch too much basketball now. But yeah, back in my time, the ACC was definitely one of the best leagues.
Yeah, you were. I was like, when you listed, I was like, dang, that was you were.
That might have been
You
it
were
because
in.
Clemson had some pros too. The Booker brothers, NC State, Lorenzo Brown. Uh, the list goes on. Like Mike Scott from UVA. What's his name? It was like Joe Smith. Something like it was a lot. It was some heat in that league.
Like
Yeah. It was some
it
hitters.
was. Man, you were in the. I was like, dang, you when you mentioned like the time, I'm like, oh, Marquis was playing in the time when it was getting crazy, like
Yeah,
not just crazy, but it was like lit. Like you listed all these people. I'm like,
in that.
oh, he was in because a lot of people didn't understand how tough that particular ACC was. Like, yes, it's different now because of how it expanded, but that time during when Mark, like you were playing, like you were listing like who, like you had, you was with Eric Green, who would become like ACC Player of the Year. He was co ACC Player of the Year with Shane Larkin from,
Oh, I forgot
Miami.
Larkin. How did
From
I forget about him? Boy, I had some. Boy, he gave me some tough nights.
from
Shane Larkin,
Miami.
Shane Larkin done sent me home to like coming into practice. Like, yo, he done sent me home a couple nights. Like, yo, that's crazy. Like embarrassed to the point where I ain't walk out the locker room at the end of the game. I'm going straight to my apartment. Like he made me that mad. Like he was tough. He was tough.
Man, like that, like when you mentioned, I was like, dang, like he was in that's like people forget, like, because you mentioned like it. I think one of the things too, like, like you said, like first of all, I did not know Wake Forest was on your list too. I was like, what? A lot of people, it's like very rare to see people put Wake Forest, which Wake Forest has a great, I think their their program. I mean, they shoot. You got a couple players from Charlotte that went to Wake Forest. So it's like, you
Yeah.
know. But this leads to my question for you, especially for you. You're from Charlotte, and Charlotte has like a hoop history. So for you, what does it mean to you to be part of the Charlotte hoop history?
Oh man, it's good. It's great. Cause I kind of like when I stopped playing basketball, like coming to like the pro am and coming to like all the events in the city, like I wasn't mentally prepared to like hear the questions of like why you stop playing basketball, or why you stop this, or man you should be out there, you should be out there. So I kind of like fell out of love with the game for a minute. So it it was like a trigger for me to hear that, like, oh, why you not playing no more, you should be doing this, all hearing all like the good stuff of like what I did and stuff. Like that was like triggering for me at first until I started to like heal and really uh like doing my brand and stuff, and people starting to like send me messages, and like when I see them really tell me like bro, you really like a legend, like a legend in the game, like, and like you really one of them ones, and it's good like hearing it now because I'm able to like receive it and process it in a better way. So it took me some time to want to be able to like uh, just even like step into a gym, because I'm at a point now where I can express and articulate like what made me stop playing basketball at the at the level I was playing at. So it's definitely now these last couple years I've been coming in contact with people, and people been sending me DMs and be like you really like a legend in the city, and that feels good because I know like all the like the pain and I put into this game. So for me to like leave out the way I did, kind of not on my terms, it's kind of like it's definitely a good feeling to hear it now these days, especially just going back into like going back to talk to like the high school kids and the younger kids and them. You know what I'm saying? Now they don't really know, but to hear like certain people, like when you go talk to them, you tell them like your story and stuff like that, and they be like, "Dang!" So like he really being where we trying to go, and even though I didn't, what I'm saying, become a pro or whatever, I still carry myself as such.
For sure. And, you like the fact that like it was so interesting to see like where you spoke at the invitational last year, and and just when it comes to like, and this leads to my question, when it comes to speaking up about mental health and say in a huge, say a public space like say West Charlotte, or just in an open circle, how did you prepare yourself to where I'm not scared to just open up my story, I have to like literally just be open about it.
Um, it took me a long time, probably within like, well, I would say 2022 when I first started my brand, and probably at the top of 2023 when I dropped like my first like collection of shirts, and I had to um speak in front of everybody that came. I feel like it came. I didn't really prepare myself for it. I just kind of just put myself out there, and as I got better, I wouldn't say as I got better, as I continued to talk in front of people. um I don't know, I would just put myself out there. I would just like, if it was a setting where it was a lot of people, I would just get up and take the opportunity to talk. I guess, like for instance, like at my dad's birthday party, his 55th birthday party. Uh, they was like, anybody gotta say something. Like, I'm his son, so I really didn't have to get up there and express my feelings to everybody. How I felt about my dad, I could have just had that conversation with my dad, but I got up and put myself in that situation just to, just to be comfortable in just to be comfortable in those situations. But it took me some years to really be comfortable and be vulnerable in like certain settings, especially in front of men, in front of, I guess, anybody. Um, but yeah, it comes natural. It comes natural now. But I would say, like I said, like me, I can look back on stuff and like dissect it uh, as I'm older now. Like when I was in class, when I was at my senior year, I was at Hargrave Military Academy, and I had this English teacher, and in her class, I was like always the one, like not saying anything. I just do my work and just stay to myself. So she came. We didn't have too many home games, so she came to one of our home games, and she seen how loud I was on the floor. And I went to her class the next day, and she was like, what is this? Like, you so loud, like in the gym and on the court, but like you so quiet in my classroom. So now I feel like when I show up to like speak in front of people, like it's kind of like reversed now. So I'm not necessarily on the court, but I'm showing up to like these these events and these open circles, and I'm like, I feel like those now are my games. You know what I'm saying? So those are my games now. So me preparing, I don't even prepare. Like when it comes to things like that, I just go out because I feel like I get anxiety the more I prepare for like me speaking. I get anxiety because I want it to go like X, Y, and Z. But in reality, I can just go up and just tell my story without having any pressure. So that's all. That's my advice to anybody that's struggling with that. I would just throw myself in the water and just you know figure out figure out ways to better yourself or get more comfortable with speaking in front of people.
And it leads to my question because my thing is, I've always wondered about this, especially, say, when it comes to male athletes and men in general, when it comes to speaking up about mental health. Why do you believe it is hard or difficult for men to be open about mental health?
I think it's just the way like society sees it as like men grow up. We taught certain things to be tough, to suppress our feelings in certain situations. So it's kind of like we take that and just use it in all aspects of our life. And I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like being a man, it's just one of those things where it's just like I don't know. Like I still express myself a lot today, but also still, and it be those moments where I still be, you know, trying to do everything on my own. It's just, I don't know. It's just being a man, I would say, but it's not healthy. I can tell you that because like when I stopped playing basketball, that's all I was doing was like trying to figure out how to navigate life like on my own. And that I would say if I would have kept going on that train of like not seeking help, I would have, I wouldn't necessarily said I would not be here, but it was a very chance that I would be like hurt. I was going to hurt myself, not fit like me, like physically hurt myself, but like hurt myself in like a sense where like the pain I was having in my neck and my body, if I wouldn't have got help and see somebody to tell me what was going on, I would have my body would have shut down in a way I can't know. I won't know how, but I know for sure it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been a pretty thing. I can't necessarily pinpoint of how what direction that would have went in, but I know it wouldn't have been good for the long run. And yeah, but I would my advice would be to really figure out like whatever it is you're going through, figure out like the root of it and kind of like dissect it like part by part because each part is going to lead you to the next, but the next part is also going to lead you back to the first part. Like the fourth part is going to lead you all the way back, and you can just you know that's how I look at it. Like now I can think back on certain things about my upbringing or like when I was in college or when I first hit that dark place. I go there and I try to pick out stuff that might be the root of the problem and just kind of dissect it from there. And also, I'm in therapy, so that helps out a lot. So my advice would be like seek therapy. Like I know it's not for everybody, but I would seek therapy just to get the tools. Like a lot of people think you just in there just pouring your heart out and just telling your therapist like every single like detail, but therapy can also be used to like just go get the tools you need to navigate through whatever it is. Like sometimes, like for me, therapy is like seasonal for me. So if something come up and I'm trying to like figure it out and I can't, I go to therapy and I tell my therapist like, this is what's going on in my life right now. How can you help me navigate through it? And then I take the tools, however long that take, couple weeks or a month. Take the tools she give me within that month, and then I apply it. And then the next road bump, I do the same thing. So it's just all a matter of just figuring out what works for you, um, and just I don't know, just I don't know. Really, as men, you need to get the help you need, just to and just like just being too masculine. I'm not saying that like taking away from like you being a man, but it's just like being too masculine almost like I would say it almost killed me. So it's like that's like the main reason like I started to like express myself and be vulnerable because me being too strong and too this and too that almost, you know, I wouldn't be here having this conversation if I would have kept going down that road of being too masculine and trying to do everything on my own and suppressing all those feelings because I mean everybody body different. So me suppressing feelings and stuff like that, I feel it instantly in places in my body. So I don't like that feeling because I know how where it took me at one point. So that's how I been able to navigate through mental health and like, depression and stuff like that as a man. And just having a great support system too. You got to find the people. You got to align with the people who, because most men be like, oh, you know, people don't care or people don't listen. But me starting to like heal and putting in the work and showing people like that I'm changing and showing people that I'm vibrating on a different frequency as I was when I was in a dark place, like that helps too because that like my family that was there with me and seeing me like in those dark places, like they've come to me and said like I feel your energy like it's much lighter. So it's like it'll show up in the places you needed to show up if you really put in the work and try to be better for sure. Like most people just want the instant, you know, validation, but I'm like 10 years in and I'm really just really feeling like okay, like I really got the hold of, you know, getting through, pushing through whatever comes my way for sure.
That's real for sure. And that's real for real. I think, you know, I I've always wondered that about, especially when it comes to men opening up, because I'll always look at it as like, you know, I'll be like, I don't know if anybody reads the Bible or if they're big in their faith, but even the strongest man alive cried and even
Yeah.
said it like Jesus wept. Like if the strongest man alive is even able to show emotions and cry, like, you know, and not to mention, like, you know, I feel like when you become vulnerable, it's essential to bringing joy, because how can you, like, if you have to be able to, like, say, you know, as they say, you have to experience the rain to see the rainbow. You have to experience like the rain to see the sunshine and everything, because not every day is going to be like sunshine and all the glorious things. You have to go through the rain to get to what is needed to, you know, say, you know, how, like, say that all the flowers, you know, how do they bloom? They grow because the rain pours onto them.
Hmm.
So you know, and I think, you know, there's this like, and I, you know, just hearing all these, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, hearing all these, like the stigma that's being placed where if a man shows emotions, they're weak. And it's like, that can't be true. If they're showing emotion, they're not weak. They're actually very, very strong if they're showing emotion. Like, you know, but I definitely see your point for sure, where like, you know, I never heard about the two masculinity, the two like the two masculinity, the two strong. I was like, what? that makes perfect sense on that. I was like that makes perfect sense.
And then like
So
listen, also like listening to like hearing that uh like people like you said like oh man cry that's too weak and XYZ. It's like man like me I got my daughter she about to turn 11, my son about to be 7. It's like that's like the only validation I need. Like without them I wouldn't be here. Like without my daughter because like I was at the doctor's place and she was pushing 1 years old. So it's like I done been through I've been through it all, like just making sure she, you know what I'm saying, she's okay. So it's like, long as I, long as they know who I am and I know who I am, I can care less who thinks like what, you know what I'm saying. A man attaching, projecting whatever a man is, all based on like, you know what I'm saying, him showing emotion or being vulnerable and stuff like that. Because I do it because of my kids, you know, like myself for sure, and like having that anger built up and all that that pours into like other people, you know. So I definitely because I saw myself like certain points like my kids doing stuff and I'm like why am I yelling at them and why am I doing this and they ain't really doing nothing for real, but that's just my frustration within myself pouring out into them. So that's when I really started to like be like okay like because my kids were starting to notice they say certain stuff and I'm like dang, I really gotta change. I really gotta heal because they noticing me being too like angry or they noticing the anger and how I'm you know what I'm saying, how I'm parenting them on certain situations. They get to be doing something small and it's just like and I just lash out all because of the frustration I have within myself and I don't know where to put that energy. So that's the main reason like for my kids, like for sure. So I mean, I've cried in front of them multiple times, so it's like I don't really hide too much from them because they know their dad. They know. I ain't gonna say what I'm thinking, but they definitely know. They definitely know. So it's nothing like I don't care to cry in front of anybody for sure. Uh, hey, if it's gonna make me better for my family and my kids, I can care less what anybody else got to say. That's for sure. It
period.
ain't, you know, I'm very confident within what I got going on, so I ain't got no words about that. But that's
So
one. So you got to you you have to like as a parent you have to take the time out and really figure things out. Like get in tune with yourself so it won't pour out on your kids. Cause there's been plenty times where at night when they go to bed, I've sat down and like critique myself as a parent. Like I do that a lot. Like dang, did I like how was I today with them? How can I change? How can I be better? Like what happened today to where you know what I'm saying? He might have did this, she might have did that, and I could have expressed it a different way. So those things like that, those things that really help me be vulnerable and be, you know, so my kids can see me putting in the work, so they can like my son, he asks all the time like, Dad, where you going? He be like, you going to the open circle with Uncle KJ? Uh, y'all got a meeting or such and such. Like he very like in tune. Like he knows like the business of my brand. Like he he knows the ins and outs. So it's like that's where that's where it comes from right there. So being vulnerable and because it's seeing them not know how to express their feelings at a young age. So I'm at a point now where I can see that, and they're not gonna listen unless they see their pops actually putting in the work too. So it's it's just one of those things where you definitely gotta pour into yourself. So whatever you pouring out, everybody can receive it in a way that is, good for everybody.
Speaking of which, about your brand, which is KFG,
Hmm.
um, I would say the whole thing,
Right.
but you know what? I'm gonna say this one time. I'm sorry, y'all, but I'm gonna say the whole thing. So, because this is raw, this podcast is raw, real. So it is keep fucking going. So that is his brand. So my question is for, you when it comes to your brand KFG, you know, what would you say is the inspiration behind your brand, and what does it mean to you to see that brand of yours really growing astronomically?
um, like it stems. KFG just stems from, like I said, like the pain that I was, what I'm saying, I went through uh with my parents, the separation, leaving, just putting down the sport, and also where it stems from is like when the ball stopped bouncing, it was like my whole identity was wrapped up in basketball. So it's like what do I do now? And like all these people telling me like what I need to do. Oh, you need to get a job. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to do that. But that's how their whole life has been going. Getting up every day, going to a job, going to this. So they trying to project what their life might look like onto me because of what, what I'm saying, of like the transition. But um a lot of people didn't see it from my perspective because it's like, okay, I literally just stopped playing basketball like a month ago. Like, give me some time to really figure it out. But I really couldn't figure it out because I was in a dark place because I'm like, what I'm gonna do next? And I started spiraling again. And yeah, I was just in a whole dark place, and I was just seeing stuff on Instagram. Like, I've seen a couple Steve Harvey reels. It was just one day I was just flipping through. Everybody was just like, I don't know, keep going was just on fire that day. Everybody was just like, hey, you gotta keep going. So I took that and I just started posting it to my page and telling myself like, oh, I gotta keep going, you gotta keep going. Whatever it is, like I was feeling throughout everything, you gotta just keep going. And I don't know, one day I just put the emphasis on it and I just put like I just said, like you said, just keep fucking going. And from there it just stuck. But it also like I also had, like I said, I always had that I want my own brand. Like I always had that in the back of my mind. So it was like always some type being a part of like fashion in some type of way. Like I was always into fashion. So I knew that that was gonna be my next like lane, but I didn't know how it was gonna come about. So um just to go back probably like 2020, 2021, like I said, that brand I had in college, the Loose Minds with my one of my best friends, Marcus. We we started to like revamp it and get back into it. But as we started doing stuff, I noticed like I'm like, man, this more like of like his identity, like I'm this more of his. So I kind of like let him keep doing his thing with the brand, and I just like took it to just took it back to like my roots to like keep fucking going. And then I don't know, I was just playing around on Canva one day. Like true story, just playing around. I just made the logo. This one right here, just made this one, and I just put it on like I put it on three hats. It was like February, I want to say February 23rd, 2022, somewhere in there. I had put the logo on three hats. I got these hats from this company out of Atlanta, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just rock these hats myself. I ain't think none of it. But then my son's mom, she posted it up. She took a picture, posted it on her Instagram, and went crazy. Like my DMs were like flooded. My phone was going off. Like I was sitting on the couch watching TV, didn't know what was going on because she just posted on her page and my phone blowing up. I go to Instagram, my DMs flooded. Like I'm talking about going crazy. Like everybody, oh, I need that, I need that. And I was like, oh man, I got something. I got something. And then like even before dropped the hats though, like my friends, uh, like if I go a day without saying keep KFG, if I go a day without saying it, people were like no, bro, like we don't wanna see that. Like, keep posting. I need that. I need that KFG. I need that affirmation. So it's like dang, okay, now I really got something. So yeah, that was just like where it stems from. Just taking all that pain I was in and just making a slogan out of it and just transitioning and making that like a lifestyle brand, I would call it, uh, with apparel and stuff like that. So I just took that because I had the whole like I got notebooks like full of stuff, like different names on stuff. So all I was just taking the business and the notes that I had from like years ago. All I did was like transition that and just put KFG into place. So yeah, I would say February 2022. Like after that post, like it's just been it's just been going crazy ever since. And yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like I get so many DMs and like people saying like how much like my posts like help them get through certain stuff and things like that. And it's just like I don't know. That's just it's just my purpose. Like I know, like I knew it. And this is gonna sound crazy, but when my therapist probably like last week she asked me, she was like, "You ever thought about being a therapist?" So when she asked when my own therapist asked me that, like that was like validation of like I'm doing something right. And then getting those DMs from like people that's not even from Charlotte, uh, my old teammates that I haven't seen in a long time, like, being inspired just by being on social media. It's a blessing for sure. And then my support team, my family, they all just been behind me ever since. So it's kind of one of those things where it's just like a life. It's just a lifestyle now. Yeah,
That's real. That's man. Let me get my shakers for that because that's so real. I swear, it's so real.
it's
That's
just
like well, anytime I hear something so real, I had to bring my shakers with it because that's so
yeah.
real. Um,
So it's just
and
a natural thing. It was
this
all.
leads to my question. Say what?
I said it was all in the plan. Like thinking back on it, like I said, like in college, it was all in the plan. Like I can think back on it now, and it's like, yeah, I was. This is what I was really supposed to be doing. But I just turned it up a little notch. But it's one of those. It's
That's
gonna be one of those things where it was just like creating something that's gonna last forever, for real. Like I ain't going nowhere with this because it's like an everyday thing. Like you know, it's gonna be one of those things that's gonna be impactful forever, for sure. And
I
that's the
know.
whole.
I know that's. Hey, you gotta clap for yourself, sir, because you gotta let them know what it is. You gotta clap for yourself for that, for real. Um, and because you should be proud of yourself with that, for real. Like, you the fact that just just three simple words making a brand and then it goes just makes an impact. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned too is making an impact is so much better than saying being influenced or because yes, there's a difference, but which one do you want to see yourself being? Making an impact or being an influencer or influencing somebody. So, but Folks ain't ready for that conversation. Some
Ready?
folks ain't ready for that conversation. So,
I'm
but
ready.
this leads to my question. I, yes.
Uh,
This leads to my question is, if there was a word or a phrase to describe your journey so far, what would it be?
that's a great question. One word, I would say, selfish. I would say selfish or unselfish. Like I haven't, like my whole journey, I always like, even when I was like at the darkest of the darkest, I was always that one who would always like give up nothing to for somebody to have something. If that makes sense, you know. Even when I ain't have nothing, I was still like showing up and making sure people were straight because that was just my way of coping at the time. But yeah, I would just say yeah, I would say unselfish because if I would have been selfish in a lot of ways or used like or played the victim to a lot of situations, it would have been it wouldn't the story wouldn't be where it is now. So yeah, I would say that.
Oh, you said selfless. I was like, oh, he meant selfless. He said,
Yeah,
oh, unselfish. I was like, did I hear right? He said selfless. I was like, okay, that makes it. I was like selfless, and then he was like, oh, he said selfish,
yeah,
and then unselfish. I was like, still the same thing, intertwined with one another, go like this. So you know what though, that makes perfect sense. I could definitely see that for you because, like, and I think that's a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand. There's people that in this world that are, they may be going through something, but they will take the time to do help somebody. Like helping somebody, even though they may be going through something themselves, but just to like in a way like, hey, they need it more than I do. I may be going through something, but they may need it more than I do, and at the end of the day, you realize, sometimes those blessings is going to come back a little bit much bigger than you ever expected. So, and it's like you paying it forward to the next person to do something good.
because I mean sometimes like you said, some of those situations where it's like okay, you can help that person, but their circumstances, your circumstances, y'all might be going through the same thing, but the circumstances that y'all are in are different, and yours might be to where like, okay, if I give this, I know I can follow on this and be okay for a little bit longer than they would, you know. So that's how I look at it when it comes to things like that. Like I feel like if I can go without a meal to give somebody else, they might can't go and fall off on a meal, but I know I for sure can go get a meal somewhere. So let me go ahead and sacrifice this to make sure they straight, knowing that I can go get something, from somewhere else. So that's just how I look at it.
That's real for sure. And this leads to my, so I always ask my guests this question. So bonafide means authentic, unique. For the men, it's the authenticity. The men, being authenticity. Blessed if I said it right. If I did not say it right, well, it's a blooper. It
Mm.
happens. But this makes the podcast raw and real. Hello. So, um,
Mm.
so what makes Marquis Rankin authentic, and what makes your story stands out?
Um, I feel like my story stands out because I don't know. I feel like I can tell the story from a different perspective than most, as far as like being one of those guys who uh, was ranked pretty high. Uh, had all the accolades, went to all the camps, uh, made it to college, and at some point, the ball stopped bouncing for me sooner than a lot of people. So I feel like I can speak from that perspective because, uh, like some athletes don't, they our identity is wrapped up in the sport that we don't look to what's next. But now it's starting to come into play where athletes can, there's a lot of backup plans in place for them as far as like the NIL and all that. But I would say I can give like a different perspective when it comes to how to navigate through life when the ball stop bouncing. So I feel like that's how our story is very very impactful and very authentic because I can I just have a different perspective on certain things, and and I played with a lot of guys that people look up to. So yeah.
That's real. That's so real for real. Like that is so for real. So Marquise, can you let the folks know how they can find you, follow you, and any upcoming events happening? And yes, please plug in your brand too with it.
Uh, my Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at Marquis Rankin underscore KFG, and my business page is Keep Fucking Going. Yeah, underscore Keep Fucking Going, and yeah, you can find me there, and then on there you'll see where. Oh, also we just made a page for the Open Circle, so follow our Open Circle page at the Open Circle, and all of those pages will have the posts where I post the events as far as like the Open Circle or just whatever I might be attending. So you can definitely catch them all on those three pages. And yep.
Y'all be sure to follow the man, the myth, the legend himself, Marquise Rankin at Marquise Rankin underscore KFG and his brand underscore keep fucking going. And also be sure to follow the Open Circle with him and KJ Ross. Shout out to KJ Ross and Marquise Rankin for the Open Circle, y'all. If you have not attended, I promise y'all, it is lit. It is a great time.
Pull
You
up
know, it is. Yes, and it's free, y'all. It's free.
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 Uh,
Free.
and for the people, we ain't in there just talking about, we ain't in there just crying, shedding tears. I mean, that stuff happens too, but I mean, we in there just having grown conversation between men and women, whoever pull up. It's just general conversation. We ain't necessarily in there pouring our hearts out and pouring, you know, telling everything and stuff like that. But we just in there just, you know, learning from each other. You might have somebody that's going through the same thing, but y'all handle it different, so y'all can just learn from each other. So it's not necessarily what most people think it is. So just pull up and just see for yourself.
Let them know what it is. Like he said, y'all be sure to follow everything. Follow the Open Circle at the Open Circle. Follow Keep Fucking Going underscore Keep Fucking Going. Just like his hat says. The way how his hat is spelled, just like that. So, and also Marquise Ranking underscore KFG. Y'all be sure to check out the live replay of Bonafide Her podcast,
Yeah.
episode 238, featuring the one and only Marcus Rankin. Big shout out to Marcus Rankin for coming on the podcast, for sharing your story. And also, y'all, it is June. It is June. Remember, it is June, which is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Shout out to all the men in this amazing world, the men in my life. Shout out to Marquis. Shout out to all the men that have inspired me, that have, I respected. Please know how needed and amazing you are. Please know that you guys matter. You are needed. So it is June. Please tell all the men in your life how much they are appreciated, respected, needed. Be there for them, And thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.
All right. Good seeing you. Appreciate it.